Welcome back to The New American Dream is to Lead, the podcast that dives deep into the stories of intrepid Americans who have found happiness, purpose, and a better quality of life by living abroad. I'm your host, Caleb Richard Gallagher, and I couldn't be more excited about today's episode. In our last episode, we explored my personal journey and the experiences that led me to question the traditional American dream. We talked about the disillusionment and frustration that so many Americans are feeling today, and how the pursuit of an alternative path led me to discover a new kind of fulfillment beyond the borders of the United States. Today, we're going to build on that theme by looking at one of the most exciting and rapidly growing trends in the world of expat living: digital nomadism. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with the term, digital nomads are individuals who leverage technology to work remotely and live a location-independent lifestyle. They are the trailblazers of a new era, combining work and travel in a way that allows them to experience the world on their own terms. And here to shed light on this fascinating way of life are two very special guests, James and Sarah, a couple who have been living and working as digital nomads for the past 3 years. Their journey has taken them from the tropical paradise of Bali to the cobblestone streets of Portugal, and most recently to the vibrant culture of Mexico. Through their experiences, James and Sarah have gained a wealth of knowledge and insight into what it takes to build a successful and fulfilling life as a digital nomad. They've navigated the challenges of finding reliable Wi-Fi, managing time differences, and building a sense of community on the road, all while growing their careers and their relationship in new and exciting ways. So whether you're curious about the digital nomad lifestyle, considering making the leap yourself, or simply looking for inspiration to think outside the box when it comes to your work and your life, this episode is for you. James and Sarah's story is one of courage, creativity, and the power of embracing change, and I can't wait for you to hear it. But before we dive in, I want to take a moment to remind you that if you're enjoying this podcast and finding value in the stories and insights we share, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us to continue bringing you the best content possible. All right, without further ado, let's welcome James and Sarah to the show and hear about their incredible journey as digital nomads. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about yourselves and what inspired you to embrace the digital nomad lifestyle. What was the moment when you realized that this was the path you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, so I was working as a software engineer in San Francisco. It wasn't so much a tech company, more like I was on the tech end of a brick and mortar corporation. Good money, good benefits, but just going through the motions every day. Also spending a lot because San Francisco is expensive. Also, San Francisco is one of those cities that has a past fabled history of excitement, but currently not so exciting.
I can see that. I always appreciate my trips to the Bay Area, but I wouldn't describe it as an exciting city, really, which is interesting given its history. How about you, Sarah? What was life like in New York City? Were you feeling the same way?
Oh, I was in a pretty similar boat. I was working as a graphic designer for this marketing agency in New York City. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the creative parts of my job, but the long hours, that was rough. And New York City is rough too. You just feel like you're struggling for your spot in the city. And I don't know, whatever romance the city previously had, I just don't feel like it's there now. I didn't feel like I was getting value. It cost more than it was worth to me.
So was there a specific moment when you both realized that you wanted to make a change?
I think it was during one of our annual trips together. We were in Thailand, and we met this couple who were digital nomads. They were working remotely while traveling the world, and they just seemed so happy and free. It was like a light bulb went off for both of us, you know?
Seeing their lifestyle and hearing about their experiences really opened our eyes to the possibilities. We started to imagine what it would be like to break free from the grind and create a life that was more aligned with who we really are.
But I imagine that the decision to actually take the leap and become digital nomads came with some fears and doubts, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we were both in stable, well-paying jobs. The thought of giving that up to pursue this unconventional path was terrifying at first. We had so many questions and concerns.
Yeah, like how would we find remote work? What about health insurance and retirement savings? And what if we failed and ended up regretting our decision? These were all very real fears for us.
But at the end of the day, we realized that the potential rewards outweighed the risks. We didn't want to look back on our lives with regret, wondering what if. So we decided to face those fears head on.
We started by doing a ton of research and planning. We read blogs and books, joined online communities, and reached out to other digital nomads for advice. We also started saving up money and looking for remote work opportunities that would allow us to sustain our travels.
And the more we learned and prepared, the more confident we became in our decision. We realized that there was a whole world of possibilities out there, and that with the right mindset and strategy, we could make this lifestyle work for us.
It's amazing what can happen when you're willing to take a chance and follow your dreams, even in the face of fear and uncertainty.
Absolutely. Looking back, we're so grateful that we took that leap of faith. It hasn't always been easy, but the experiences we've had and the personal growth we've achieved have made it all worth it.
So once you made the decision to pursue the digital nomad lifestyle, what was the preparation process like? I mean, how did you guys actually make it happen?
Oh man, where do we even start? I mean, there was so much to think about and plan for. I guess one of the first big things was figuring out what to do with all of our stuff.
Yeah, we had this whole apartment full of furniture and belongings that we had accumulated over the years. And we knew that we couldn't just pack it all up and take it with us on the road. So we started the process of decluttering and downsizing.
It was actually kind of liberating in a way. We sold a lot of our bigger items like our furniture and my car, and then we donated or gave away a lot of the smaller stuff that we realized we didn't really need or use anymore.
That makes sense. I can imagine that it must have been quite a process to go through everything and decide what to keep and what to let go of.
Definitely. But it was also a good exercise in figuring out what was really important to us. And in the end, we managed to fit our entire lives into a couple of suitcases and backpacks.
That's impressive. Now, what about work? How did you guys go about finding remote opportunities that would allow you to sustain your travels?
That was probably one of the biggest challenges we faced in the beginning. I mean, we both had skills that we knew could be done remotely, but we didn't have a lot of experience actually finding and landing those kinds of jobs.
Yeah, I started by reaching out to my network and letting people know that I was looking for remote software development work. I also spent a lot of time scouring job boards and freelance websites, looking for opportunities that seemed like a good fit.
And I did something similar for graphic design work. I updated my portfolio website and started actively promoting my services on social media and design communities online. It took a bit of time and effort, but eventually we both started landing some steady freelance gigs.
I think that's a key part of making the digital nomad lifestyle work, being proactive and taking initiative to create your own opportunities.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a bit about financial planning. How did you guys approach budgeting and saving for this new lifestyle?
Oh, that was a big one for us. We knew that we needed to have a solid financial plan in place if we wanted this to be sustainable long term.
Yeah, we started by really looking at our expenses and figuring out where we could cut back or make changes. We created a budget that accounted for things like travel costs, accommodation, food, and any other necessary expenses.
And we also made sure to build up a decent savings cushion before we left. We wanted to have a bit of a safety net in case of any unexpected costs or emergencies.
And we've continued to be really mindful of our spending and our budget as we've been traveling. It's not always easy, but it's so important to have that financial discipline if you want to make this lifestyle work.
That's a great point. It's not just about the initial preparation and planning, but also about maintaining those good habits and practices as you go along.
Exactly. And I think that's something that a lot of people might not fully realize when they're first considering becoming digital nomads. It's not just a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of planning, adapting, and being smart with your money.
Absolutely. That financial planning and budgeting piece is so crucial, and it's great to hear how you guys have approached it in such a thoughtful and disciplined way. So once you guys made the decision to embrace the digital nomad lifestyle and had all your ducks in a row, where did you head to first?
Our first stop was Bali, and it was absolutely incredible. We ended up staying there for about 6 months, and it was the perfect place to really dive into this new way of life. The landscapes were just breathtaking, lush green rice terraces, stunning beaches, and these amazing Hindu temples everywhere you looked. But what really made our time in Bali so special was the people. The locals were so friendly and welcoming, and there was this thriving expat community that we quickly became a part of. We met so many interesting people from all over the world, all with their own unique stories and reasons for being there. I remember one particular evening, we were invited to this big beach bonfire party by some friends we had met. There were people from the US, Nigeria, India, Argentina, and Albania gathered around this fire, sharing stories and laughing under the stars. And it just hit me, this sense of global connection and community. It was a really powerful moment.
And I think that's one of the things we've come to love most about this lifestyle, the opportunity to have these kinds of experiences and to connect with people in such a deep and authentic way. Another place that really stands out for me is Portugal. We spent a few months there last year and it was just magical. The history, the architecture, the food. It was all incredible, but there was this one particular experience that I think really encapsulates what makes travel so special. We were in this small village in the Alentejo region, and we happened to be there during their annual festival. The whole town came alive with music and dancing, and everyone was out in the streets celebrating. We didn't understand a word that was being said, but it didn't matter. The energy and the joy were so contagious.
Oh, I will never forget that night. It was pure magic. And it's moments like that that make all the challenges of this lifestyle so worthwhile. But speaking of amazing experiences, we have to talk about Mexico. We just spent the last few months exploring different parts of the country, and it completely blew us away. The food, first of all, oh my goodness, the flavors, the freshness, the variety. We ate our way through every city we visited and never got tired of the incredible cuisine, and the architecture was just stunning. One thing I really want to encourage people to do is to explore beyond the typical tourist destinations in Mexico. Sure, places like Cancun and Cabo are beautiful, but there's so much more to this incredible country. When we were in central Mexico, we fell in love with cities such as Guanajuato and San Miguel de Allende. These places are just bursting with history, culture, and charm, but they're still relatively undiscovered by American tourists. The colorful streets, the stunning Baroque architecture, the vibrant art scenes, it's like stepping into a whole other world. And the people are so warm and welcoming, so eager to share their culture and their stories with you. I really can't recommend it enough. Get off the beaten path, immerse yourself in the real Mexico, and I promise you won't regret it.
That's so true. And I think that's the beauty of slow travel, which is something we've really come to appreciate as digital nomads. When you have the time to really immerse yourself in a place and a culture.
Every new place we go, every new person we meet, it just opens up this whole world of possibilities and adventures. We're so grateful to be able to live this life and to have these experiences.
It's clear that being a digital nomad has afforded you both some incredible experiences and opportunities. But I'm sure it hasn't all been smooth sailing. Can you talk a bit about some of the biggest challenges you've faced in this lifestyle?
Oh, absolutely. While the rewards are undeniable, there are definitely some challenges that come with this way of life. One of the biggest ones for us has been dealing with time zone differences. When you're working remotely with clients or colleagues back in the States, it can be really tricky to manage those communication gaps. I remember when we were in Bali, I had this big project with a client back in New York. The time difference was a killer. When I was ready to start my workday, they were just wrapping up theirs. It led to a lot of late night Skype calls and some serious juggling to make sure we were all on the same page. It can be exhausting and it definitely takes some getting used to. And then there's the issue of reliable internet. As digital nomads, our livelihoods depend on being able to stay connected. But when you're hopping from country to country, you quickly realize that not all internet is created equal. We've had our fair share of moments huddled in the cafe, frantically trying to upload a file or join a video call with a spotty connection. It can be really stressful, especially when you have deadlines looming.
Definitely. And I think the other big challenge is maintaining that work life balance. When you're living and working in the same space, it can be really hard to separate the two. There's no physical boundary between your office and your home, so it's easy to fall into the trap of working all the time. I've definitely had moments where I've looked up from my laptop and realized that I've been working for 12 hours straight without even realizing it. And when you're in a beautiful, exciting new place, it can be hard to tear yourself away and give yourself permission to just enjoy and explore. It's something we've had to be really intentional about, setting clear work hours, taking regular breaks, and making sure we're carving out time for adventure and relaxation. It's not always easy, but it's so important for avoiding burnout and maintaining that sense of balance. But even with all those challenges, the rewards of this lifestyle are just incredible. I mean, the opportunity to immerse ourselves in new cultures, to learn and grow in ways we never could have imagined. It's priceless.
Absolutely. One of the things I've been most grateful for is the personal growth that's come with this journey. Being constantly pushed out of your comfort zone, navigating new places and experiences, it forces you to really confront yourself and your own strengths and weaknesses. I've learned so much about myself, about my own resilience and adaptability. And then there's just the sheer joy of travel, of waking up in a new place, and knowing that the day is filled with endless possibilities. Whether it's exploring a new city, trying a new food, or connecting with new people, every day feels like an adventure.
Yes, and I think that freedom is really at the heart of why we do this. The freedom to design our own lives, to prioritize what matters most to us, whether that's work or travel or personal growth. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. There's this moment I always come back to from our time in Portugal. We were staying in this tiny village, and one morning we woke up early to watch the sunrise over the hills. And as we sat there, sipping our coffee and watching the sky turn these incredible shades of pink and orange, I just felt this overwhelming sense of gratitude and joy. Because in that moment, I realized that this freedom, this beauty, this sense of adventure, this was what we had been working so hard for. And all the challenges, all the late nights and spotty internet and time zone headaches, it all faded away in the face of that realization.
And I think that's what we always come back to in the end. The challenges are real and they're not to be underestimated. But the rewards, the growth, the adventures, the freedom, they're what make it all worthwhile.
Without a doubt, we wouldn't trade this life for anything.
For those of our listeners who are considering embarking on a digital nomad journey of their own, what advice would you give them? What are some of the key things they should keep in mind?
Oh, that's a great question. I think one of the most important things is to do your research and planning. And I don't just mean in terms of your destinations or your work, although those are certainly important. But you also need to really understand the practical implications of this lifestyle. Things like visa requirements, depending on where you're going and how long you're staying, you may need to secure specific visas or permits. And then there's healthcare, making sure you have coverage that will protect you as you travel. And of course, taxes. Understanding your obligations and liabilities as a digital nomad can be complex. So it's important to do your due diligence there. It can seem overwhelming at first, but there are so many resources out there, blogs, forums, even professional services that can help guide you through these considerations. The key is to not let the planning stage intimidate you, but to use it as an opportunity to really educate yourself and set yourself up for success.
Absolutely. And I would add to that, build a strong support system. This lifestyle can be isolating at times, especially if you're traveling solo. So whether it's joining online communities of other digital nomads or making an effort to maintain close ties with friends and family back home, having that network of support is so crucial. There have been times on this journey where I've felt lost or discouraged, and being able to lean on that community to get advice, to vent, to just feel understood, it's made all the difference. So don't underestimate the power of connection and support, even from afar.
That's so true. And I think more than anything, our advice would be to approach this lifestyle with an open mind and a willingness to adapt and grow. Because the reality is, no amount of planning or preparation can fully predict the challenges and opportunities you'll face out there. You have to be ready to embrace the unknown, to step out of your comfort zone and try new things, whether it's navigating a language barrier or figuring out a new work setup or just learning to live with a little less certainty. Flexibility and adaptability are key.
Definitely. And I would say, don't be afraid to make mistakes or have setbacks. It's all part of the journey. There will be moments of frustration, of homesickness, of questioning whether you've made the right choice. But those moments are just as valuable as the triumphs and the joys because they're what help you grow and learn and become a better version of yourself. So to anyone out there considering this path, know that it won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. Embrace the challenges as much as the adventures. Be open to the lessons and the growth. And above all, trust in yourself and your ability to navigate this incredible, wild, life-changing journey.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's a bold choice to live this life, but it's a choice we make every day and one we've never regretted. So, to all the aspiring digital nomads out there, we see you, we're rooting for you, and we can't wait to welcome you to this amazing community.
Before we wrap up, I just want to say one more time, James, Sarah, thank you so much for being here and sharing your journey with us. Your experiences and insights are truly invaluable, And I know they'll resonate with so many of our listeners who are considering or embarking on their own digital nomad adventures.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Caleb. We're so grateful for the opportunity to share our story and hopefully inspire others to chase their dreams, whatever they may be.
Absolutely. And to all the listeners out there, if you have any questions or if you just want to share your own digital nomad experiences, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to hear from you and continue this conversation.
That's a fantastic point, Sarah. We always love hearing from our listeners. And we've actually set up a dedicated email address for this podcast. So if you have a question, a comment, or a story to share, send us an email at leaveandthrive@gmail.com. We read every message and we'll even feature some of your stories in future episodes. And if you're looking for even more inspiration and practical advice on how to make your digital nomad dreams a reality, be sure to check out my book, The New American Dream is to Leave, available now on Amazon. In the book, you'll find an entire chapter dedicated to the digital nomad lifestyle, as well as a wealth of insights and strategies for navigating every aspect of the expat journey. From choosing your destination, to managing your finances, to building a thriving career and community abroad. Trust me, it's a must-read for anyone serious about turning their travel dreams into a reality. And speaking of future episodes, next week we have another incredible guest lined up. We'll be sitting down with John, an American retiree who has found a new lease on life in the stunning countryside of Costa Rica. He'll be sharing his journey of leaving behind the stresses of corporate America and discovering a slower, more fulfilling way of life in one of the world's most beautiful countries. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your shows. That way you'll never miss an episode, and you'll be the first to know when new stories and insights drop. And if you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving us a rating and review. It really helps us out by letting others know what we're all about and why this content matters. Plus, we just love hearing your feedback and knowing that these stories are resonating with you. So once again, a huge thank you to James and Sarah for being with us today, and to all of you for listening. Remember, the new American dream is yours for the taking. It's waiting for you out there, beyond borders and beyond limits. All you have to do is dare to chase it. Until next time, this is Caleb Richard Gallagher reminding you, always chase your dreams no matter where they take you. We'll see you on the road.